Hi, this is Brian Icenhower, and I'm sitting here with Matt Graham, Ken Smith, and Shelleen Wienke, all established agents that I've had the pleasure of working with. They're here to talk to you a little bit about some of the chief objections that they get in listing presentations. Some of the scripts and dialogues that they might implement and use to overcome some of those objections as well. So let's get right after it. Guys, thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate you taking the time to help us out. You've all had amazing success in your careers, especially with regards to taking listings. So your willingness to share that with everyone else is much appreciated. So let's talk about some of the objections that one might get in a listing presentation. I know oftentimes, especially in a competitive seller's market, you get a lot of people saying, "Well, I really want to interview some other agents." What you said is great. I just have a few more interviews to do. I need to do my due diligence. I'd like to meet some other agents. How do you guys overcome that objection when you're in a seller's living room, meeting with them, and you're ready to get that listing all signed up, and they throw that one at you?
Well, for me, I actually say, well, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, what are you looking for in an agent that I'm not already committed to do?
Okay, so you come with a question, come from curiosity.
Exactly. And depending on their answer, I might be able to move forward and say, if you would simply sign the contract, I would be able to call those agents that you have your interviews with and take that off of you.
Excellent.
I do a very similar thing too when I will say, now that we've discussed what I will do for you, is there really anything that another agent that can do for you? And the truth is, if you have appointments in the next few days interviewing other agents, it's quite probable that we're wasting time. I could already have a stager and a photographer take pictures of your house and have it on the market. So it may be beneficial to you if we would go ahead and list today. Do you agree?
Okay, so I like how you're coming from curiosity. You're trying to find out what their concerns with not listing today are.
And I found a lot of times that they're just saying that. Statistically, they're only going to interview one agent. So a lot of times they're just saying that because they want to go talk it over, whatever. So I kind of put them on the spot and say, well, which agent are you interviewing?
Oh, I see. Okay. So
And then so if they can't come up with a name and they're, somebody from Remax, then I go into a script a lot similar to Ken's is, well, why don't you give me their name and number and I'll call them and I'll cancel the appointment on your behalf.
So you're actually going that extra step.
Yeah, I'm putting them on the spot. I want to know what agent they're interviewing,
Right.
And if they do give me a name, I know who my competition is and I know a lot of what the other top agents are doing, and so I know how to
bring that value.
I know how
to
beat them out.
Excellent. Okay, I like that. I like how you're actually bringing the customer service right off the bat, where you're going to actually get them through that difficult conversation for them. You've offered to do that. I like that.
Well, another point that you might make right now is the market is so hot. Do you really want to miss another buyer? I mean, our object is to sell your home quickly.
Right.
Isn't that what you want?
Yeah, we can get somebody in there, we can get it sold before you could probably even get the other agent in your living room.
Absolutely.
That's great. Okay, again, coming from where their needs are. I enjoy that. Okay, so let's say that they do agree to go with you, but they say, you know what? I'm a little bit concerned about your commission. What if they try to negotiate your commission down from your standard rate? What might you guys say to overcome that objection?
They ask me, will you reduce your commission? No. Any other questions? I move on.
Okay, so the answer is no. Any other questions?
Yeah.
I want them to feel like that they have a say in it. The commission is negotiable, so I'm going to tell them what I'm going to do for my commission. Then I'm going to say, I don't do this, I don't charge for the staging, I don't charge for the photography, but now you have a choice, 6, 7, or 8%.
Okay, so you give them a choice. You're okay with any of those outcomes, I assume?
Any of those outcomes.
Okay.
Hopefully 8.
That sounds good. Yeah, fair enough.
And I basically just say, well, actually, my commission's non-negotiable. And if they continue on, I'll say, well, let me ask you a question. I mean, if your boss came to you today and said, will you work for 75% of your salary for the next month? Would you do it?
Gotcha.
And of course the answer is no.
Right.
And that usually ends it.
Yeah, if they keep, if that's their main sticking point, if that's their pain that they commission, then I'll also explain, here's how our commission works. It's 6%. We give half of that away to other buyers agents to bring in qualified buyers. So that leaves 3% for us. About 1% goes to marketing to get your home sold for the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time. Leaves about another % that goes to cover my team and overhead, and that's why we sell so many homes a year, which leaves about 1% for me. And out of that 1%, I have to pay taxes on. So if you want me to reduce by 1%, that basically means I'm paying you to sell your house.
Excellent. I really like how you're actually educating them on the reality. We all don't just make a windfall in real estate necessarily. That's great.
Exactly.
Okay, excellent. Excellent. Very transparent, very true. Okay. Okay, so the last, I know the biggest objection that we often see is the objection about price. Most sellers want to list their house for a higher price than their house will actually sell for, and that can actually be detrimental to them. And they can ultimately actually get a lower price and sell their home with less proceeds coming back to them in the long run that way. So I know with you guys, you always stress the importance of that initial period of time when it goes on the market, having it priced right at that period of time. So tell me about that. Tell me your thoughts about that.
I want to ask bigger than the question of what their reasons for moving. I want to get to their pain. So if I ask them, now if you price it at this price, are you willing to go through all these extra showings, cleaning up the house, gathering up the children, taking them out of the house? Will that be acceptable to you? Because it may take a little bit longer to sell if you price at that price. Is that acceptable to you?
Excellent.
I like the pain, the pain versus pleasure is huge. And I usually do that on the initial walkthrough, is asking the question, trying and going 3D, trying to figure out what their pain or pleasure really is. I mean, do they need to get down to Alabama to be with their daughter and granddaughter? And if that's the case, then during the whole pricing point, I'm going to, say, well, if we're up here, it's going to take you 6 months to get down to see your granddaughter. If we price it here, you can be there in a month. And so really feeding on that pain and seeing, and it sometimes takes digging deeper to find out what their true motivation is for selling. So I love that.
Excellent.
And what I basically focus on the actual statistical data. I run the comps before I leave. I go through and I review them. I mark them up. We take a very incisive view of every detail, days on the market, original list price, etc. And then I jump into the magic month, where I explain to them, hey, the first 4 weeks that your home is on the market are the most important. If we don't have your home sold in 4 weeks, we're likely to get a whole lot less money. Is that what you want?
I love the magic month. But
Everyone's got to love the magic month.
Yeah. And I'll actually come out and I think you use a pre-printed. I like drawing a bell-shaped curve and drawing lines week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and say, first week we're going to get our marketing out. Week 2 and 3 and 4 are, I'm going to now use the magic month to get your home sold, and the market will talk to us. If we don't have, if we don't have any showings in these weeks, that's the market talking to us saying we're overpriced. Or if we get 8 to 10 showings with no offer, that's the market saying we're overpriced. So by week 3, if we don't have a contract or we're not getting showings, Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, you should be calling me saying, hey, the market's talking to us, let's reduce. And then, when we go to reduce, I'm going to ask them, do you want to do the standard reduction of 10,000 or the drastic reduction that the winners use of 20,000?
I like that. So give a choice, set an expectation for which one is the correct choice. That's amazing, guys. Amazing scripts, amazing dialogues, amazing techniques, all designed actually for the best interest of your clients too. So thank you so much for sharing this today. We really appreciate it. So thanks again.